just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that keeps watching, supporting, all the chairmans, managers, secretaries that's been on over the episodes. We really appreciate support, and we'll keep going. Hopefully hit that 100 very soon as well. We're getting back to the short night, and it's all about Blyth Town and kind of their club and what the plans are going forward as well. So starting with yourself, Scott, finishing 6th last season, just outside the playoffs. A lot of people have been asking this one. I mean, did that push you on to go that little bit further this season?
Well, I wasn't wrong much last year. I know the guys finishing 6th. I think, was it inconsistent season? Would that be right, Gav? Finished the season with a pretty strong squad. And like with any club, it's all about continuing improvement. So we come into this year looking to kick on from where the lads finished last year. And I think playoffs is a decent position, but not really where they want to be going forward this season.
Yeah, and I think with yourself, Gareth, imagine obviously the time that you spent in football and just that one place outside the playoffs that's really pushed yourselves. Obviously, Michael there as well to get that squad together, get pre-season right, and make sure that come the first game of the season you were ready and prepared to push on even more.
Absolutely. I think it was fair to say that finishing 6th kind of really hurt. And I think the one thing that we got off the back of the season was we didn't start until a little bit later. And what I mean by that is, while a lot of kind of stuff going on with the club at the time, we started recruiting players probably later. This year we were in a situation 2 weeks into pre-season where we are like, right, okay, you know what, we've got the nucleus of a very, very good squad here together, and we knew exactly where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do, and more importantly, the personnel that was going to, going back to Scott's point, that was going to kind of upgrade in terms of where we were last season. And but yeah, it was a bit of a pill to swallow. I know I spoke about it when I've been on previously, but we played, I think we had something like 3 of the bottom 5 in the last 3 games of the season. We didn't pick up a point. And it wasn't just necessarily the playoffs that we missed out on. We also missed out on FA Cup football by 3 points. So that itself, even from a financial aspect for a club of our size, is like huge, right? So it was like a double slap in the face. It was like, I'm going to hit you on the left cheek, and then if you didn't just turn to the right, I'll hit you again. And so we just kind of vowed not to be in that situation. And like I said, get prepared, right?
Definitely. And Scott, you see, as soon as the season finishes, teams around you literally bringing in transfers straight away, the likes of Horden, Bettleton bringing in, and obviously then Blue Star coming up, and the money that they were chucking at the players from the start of the season. I mean, you see them players bringing the top players, and you've kind of got to go out and match that, if not even better, to make sure you're still up there come the end of this season as well, don't you?
No, 100%. There's some good players going to them teams, and ironically, Bettleton and Blue Star, 2 the ones that you mentioned, are the ones that I've seen the most of this season. And one of the best halves of football that I've seen was Blue Star against Bettleton at Scotswood. And if that was the standard, I was like, yeah, we've got to really be on our game to do well this season. The recruitment was started early. So by the time I got here, we'd already signed like Dan Wilson. Previously, we had Slats, obviously, Brandon Slater. And then we had eyes on a few other players. But like I said, Dan Wilson was a bit of a statement for the club, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't say the quality. I mean, yourself, Gav, the signs that came in throughout the season as well. It's been brilliant. You must be happy with the quality that the club's bringing in now.
Yeah, without a doubt. And to be fair, we knew where we needed to strengthen. We knew the type of player that we wanted. We always missed that kind of big target man, if you like. But we didn't want just a big target man who was going to be capable of holding up the ball and bringing our players into play. We wanted a big target man who was also capable of scoring goals. And that's what Dan gives us. But then you look at the other lads that we brought in. The other thing that we were young last season, and we had not a lot of experience around the club. And I think that experience sometimes lent itself to the inconsistencies, just because when you've got young lads, that's exactly what you get, right? Sometimes they're like, you watch them and you're like, wow. And there's other times you watch them and you're like, wow, what's he doing? In kind of, so the likes of Robbie Dale coming in at the back just steadies the ship. Kyle Hayes coming in from a goalkeeping perspective. Baker, who unfortunately is injured, but he's been different class for us this season. Then the likes of Yannick and Demo and them sort of people, and surrounding them with very good, athletic, young, fit footballers who are also willing to listen and learn. I've got no doubt whatsoever that if you kind of learn off the likes of Robbie, who's played the level that he's played at, the amount of games that he's played at that level, if you kind of just sit down for 5 minutes as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid and kind of say, look, tell us what football's all about, then you'd be absolutely nuts not to use that time up. So, yeah, like you say, experience, quality, goals, and then also kind of retaining the better ones of what we had last season. So that's good.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, Scott going well on the pitch, but also off the pitch. I mean, over the summer, having obviously Dan Byrne coming down, which was nice to see. Obviously, the events in the clubhouse, the sponsorship, the talk-ins, I know one's coming very shortly as well. I mean, how important is it to keep all them things ticking over as well on the financial side of things and getting money in at this level of the game?
Oh, it's vital. I didn't realise how vital it was when I first started, to be fair. Clubs aren't going to survive on just gates alone.
Yeah,
you know, you have to do all the other commercial stuff around it. So selling sponsored boards was my main thing. So we increased that significantly. The talk-ins are huge. We're very lucky to have a principal sponsor called Subitax, and they help with a lot of things like that. I'm always in the club selling tickets for signed shirts, cash draws. It's just constant, and like you can't stop, because as soon as you think you're ahead of the game, you pay 3 lots of wages, and then you're like, shit, we got to go again. And that's what it is, really. Hospitality's been huge for us as well. There's only been 2 or 3 games that we haven't had hospitality in, and that might just be 10 people for 300 quid. But if you've got a hospitality and a couple of boards that week and a half decent gate, and you've covered your nut for the week, and that's pretty much what we kind of do. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but I got a hot tub fitted the other week, and I was chatting to the guy, and I said, "Never heard of you?" And he was like, "Oh, we went just up the road." And I said, "Well, why don't you put a board at Blyth Town?" Everywhere I go, and I try to buy a car. I was down in Birmingham this week, and I did 3 boards on the road. But it's recurring revenue, and that, you know, the whole thing is not to have your reliance on one like income source. So I thought, if we get all the boards and then every year we just re-invoice them, it's like recurring revenue. Otherwise, I think it's a little bit built on sand. And then you start again next season with the same problems again. So we're trying to do things a little bit differently. It is hard work. It's very time consuming. But the businesses around there have been fantastic, to be fair.
No, but I know we're trying to get a few friends come along to get one before the end of the season as well for the sponsorship as well. We're really looking forward to that. As well as the first team, obviously the club at the moment with the reserve team, the ladies team, junior teams, mixed teams, foundations. It's got a real family feel to the club now as well, hasn't it, Scott?
The club's a beast, to be fair. I think there's something like 33 teams. Every night you go, there's kids everywhere, which is great. But the idea is to convert them to come and, you know, support the first team. The first team support the club wholeheartedly. You know, we do a bit of fundraising for the kids as well. We have them on match days as ball boys and things like that. The FA Cup match in particular against AFC Liverpool, I think we had about 60, 70 kids through the door. They don't pay because, you know, as long as they wear the Blyth top, but it really added to the atmosphere. And that's the idea, is to try and get everybody involved. You know, we'll support them as much as we can, and hopefully they'll start reciprocating that. We've got a talk-in on Friday, which is pretty much sold out. And we've got a real good representation from like the junior coaches and stuff. So that means a lot to us, because it's, you know, we're trying to pull the club together. It's a fantastic club, and it's got to be a part of. I just wish everyone shared the same enthusiasm as what I did, but we'll get there.
No, really good. And back to the league, I mean, sitting second at the moment, 3 points behind Blue Star. I mean, you know, 2 games in hand, but you must be happy with the start so far. Having played 16, won 13, drawn on, lost 3, and you say scoring goals for fun and not conceding very many. You must be happy with the start so far.
Yeah, delighted. But I'm a perfectionist. I look at the games that we've lost, and we shouldn't have lost them games. And it was down to kind of more of a mentality than what it was in terms of quality on the pitch. So I look at that, and yeah, you know what, we are in a good situation, 3 points behind. We're 2 games in hand, but that league is going to be a tough league to get out of. It's a really, really strong league, and we're coming into that horrible part of the season, as you well know, James, where it's like November, December, January, February. We've already had a decent Vars run, and we're still in the Vars. We're still in other 3 cups. We're still pushing in the league. And the challenge that we're going to have is every time you kind of progress in the leagues and in the Vars, then you're missing a league game, and then you've got to then factor in the horrible weather and the bad pitches and all the rest of it. So I've got this horrible feeling that kind of come the back end of the season, we're going to be playing like Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And yeah, but the one thing that we've done and the one thing that we've reiterated right the way from the start is this season's going to be about the squad. And from that perspective, there's going to be a hell of a lot of football to play. But am I happy? Yeah, listen, it's win the games in hand, you go 3 points clear. Going back to your point, we've scored a boatload of goals, and that was the point. Like, you don't bring in Adam Johnson and Dan and Lee Woff and Slats and Louis Calvert. You don't bring in that type of quality and not expect to score goals. So there's an expectation. But going back to your point, the main thing was tighten it up at the back, and that's exactly what we've done with the likes of Harry Sawyer's come in. Beezer's been exceptional. Evan Fogarty's been exceptional for us. Felly's been really, really good as well, alongside Robbie Dale, and we've got two very good goalkeepers. Well, we had, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in the league in Lewis Baker, but he's dislocated his shoulder and he's out for a few months. So, and we wish him the best. But yeah, it's a nice recipe for success, right? Where you're not conceding many, and you're scoring loads. It's like it's a nice problem to have, and it'll be remiss of us to kind of not mention the likes of the boys in the midfield, the Gippers of the world, and the Yannicks and the Demos and Dylan and people like that, Max and Lucas. They're all putting like shifts in when they come in, and they're setting up lots of opportunities for the lads to kind of finish off. So it's going well. It's going well, but in football, I've been in it long enough, and I'm sure people in the football world will know that you're only ever kind of 1 or 2 results away from being back under pressure again. So from that perspective, you do the right things, you prepare properly, you train right, you understand the opposition, you pick a team that's going to be based on, and you set high expectations, and then it's down to the lads come Saturday or come Tuesday night, whenever the game is, to pass that white line and ultimately put a performance on. And the thing that we've got this season is we have got competition for places. Last season, we were turning up and kind of knowing that they were going to kind of start. This season, it's like, listen, if you're not scoring goals or you're not defending properly or you're not creating, then there's 2 or 3 lads who are capable of doing that. And I think that's the difference. They've got some real positive pressure behind them, where last season they were turning up kind of going, well, my name's on the team sheet, I know it is.
No, I love that perfectionist part. I mean, I've just started a game with my son's team, Sun West, and they're only under 9s, but 7 games unbeaten, and you're kind of winning 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. But in my head, I'm thinking, right, why are we conceding that 1 goal? So it's not exactly my thoughts, but I'm going into the game at the minute. It's a good thing to have.
The way I look at that, James, is like you're only 1 win away from your next loss. You know what I mean? So you don't know when it's going to come. It's going to come at some point. But it's like, just keep riding high and keep doing it.
Look at us like, what you're on about? We've won, man. It's won, we've won. But why have something that clean sheet? That's what I want next. Crazy, man. But from what you've seen so far, I mean, obviously you must be confident, or like you say, if you get past this next stage now, with obviously all the games that's getting called off and the winter coming up as well, if you're still in the mix, like you say, come here, but you must be confident of getting promoted and hopefully getting up there, Division 1.
Listen, I think from our perspective, from a club's point of view, we've always said, and we've not hidden away from the fact that this season is about getting out of the Northern League Second Division. So it's like I kind of move away from that fact, and I won't move away from that fact. And I think that's where the positive pressure comes. I think I've got a chairman at this present moment in time that backs me and Mick. We create the conditions to go and be successful. So there's an expectation. We've not had a no yet. I'm sure the no will come at some point, but every time we've had a conversation, it's like, look, if that's what you believe that needs to happen, then we'll find a way and we'll do it right and all the rest of it. And that's been like a breath of fresh air. But ultimately, we know that their expectation is promotion. And that's where we need to be pushing for. And that's where everybody needs to be kind of focused on. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to win the league, because that would be kind of arrogant. And that's the one thing that we aren't, is a group in terms of a footballing team and also a management team and a committee. And the club's not arrogant as in terms of a club, but the one thing that we'll absolutely do is we'll do everything that is possible and make sure that we kind of run through them kind of proverbial brick walls, if you like, to get where I think the club deserves to be. And then obviously the good thing about that is if we are good enough and in some cases lucky enough to get out of this league, then I think we're in a very, very good position because of the work that the likes of Scott's been doing since the start of the season. Them foundations are kind of really, really solid. And then foundations and what the club are doing with the stuff like the hospitality and getting people coming in and eating and drinking at the club, like you see it on a match day and it's like, wow, yeah, and that for me is like that's already first division kind of foundations. You know what I mean? So I think the one thing that we're not going to have to do if we are successful and good enough to go up is we're not going to have to change a whole lot. We've tried to build a team that hopefully will be the nucleus of that will be here next season. Do you need to add a few on and maybe a few move on and all the rest of it? Absolutely, because that's the way football is. But I think we'll be in a strong position. But I'll worry about that and focus on that come April, May time when it's kind of time to do it. Because for me, there's like a hell of a lot of football. I think we're playing 16 games. Like we're not even. I think we're halfway through the season yet. I don't think we are. So from that point of view, it's like nothing's ever won in November. Like I'll speak about it if we're in a very, very solid position come April time. But listen, we've started well, and we just need to maintain that the momentum and the form that we've currently got.
Definitely. And before we move on as well, I just want to say a massive thank you everyone that's tuning in and watching so far. Like I said, it's our 50th episode tonight. So again, massive thank you to everyone that keeps supporting the channel as well. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Any comments as well, get them in. And I've had a few in already, which we'll go through later on as well. And getting back to yourself, Scott, I mean, the FA Vars this season has been massive for the club, beating Chester Street United, Tadcaster, Crook, and obviously AFC Liverpool. You've had the home games, the away games, obviously massive good attendances over 200 at home as well. It's nice to see obviously them away day travels, but obviously getting the fans in at home and showing the support as well. Yeah,
no, the Vars has been it's been brilliant this year. The away trip to Tadcaster was well, it's always great when you win, right? So we go down there, performed really well. The bus journey back was, it was amazing. Probably the best thing about it was AJ's sickness. The guy who's never sick. I was sick all the way home, so everybody loved that. That sticks in my mind. And then we draw AFC Liverpool. Ironically, I'm a massive Liverpool fan, as you can see from me chair. And back in the day when Hicks and Gillette was there, I supported AFC Liverpool because, that's the way we were going anyway. So we drew them, and they came down and they were a fantastic club. They took the defeat really graciously. And they're supporting us in the Vars run. And I think we're going to meet them for a pre-season game because they played down at Marine, I think. So we're going to go down there in the summer. So it was nice to meet some like-minded people, they've got the same sort of principles as us. But the next game is going to be huge. Myself and Gav went to watch Bishop Auckland, and they were very good. They got some really good players. But saying that, it was Horden they were playing. No,
with Bolton.
There was a spell in the game where they were doing really well. So I think our pitch might hopefully be a leveler. We're certainly not the favourites to win it, but we could cause an upset. Hopefully, get a big crowd through the door. Spartans are away that day, and Newcastle don't kick off till 8 o'clock. That's I think they got Man United.
Exactly, yeah.
So we'll have a lot of people hopefully through the gate. We'll have a lot of people in the club afterwards, staying for the Newcastle game, and hopefully it's a big celebration.
That should be a great day. And yourself, Gav, like you say, you love the Vars, like you say, absolutely legend in the Vars. How much have you enjoyed the run so far, and obviously looking forward to the Bishop game as well?
Yeah, to be fair, I've loved it. Obviously, I had the experience of it prior, and there's no better cup in my opinion for non-league. The way it's kind of regionalised, and then it goes national, and then obviously where you end up playing is just like the biggest carrot in the world for any non-league footballer. I don't care, and not even any non-league footballer, any non-league fan, any non-league chairman, any non-league committee member. It's like it's kind of utopia, if you like. But this season we've been very good in the Vars. When you look at the likes of Tadcaster, who were a proper team, we went there and we done a job. And it wasn't like we were sitting there kind of with a tin hats on defending for our lives. We were the better team and we deserved to win that football match. Crook Town, another very, very good first division team. They caused us some problems. Thought we were better in the first 20 minutes, last 15 minutes of the first half. They got on top. Second half, they made a few changes. We made a few changes, and it was like a basketball game. It was like a proper cup match where it was like, you have a go, and then we'll have a go. And we scored, I think it was in the 93rd minute. And obviously, when you concede at that point, there's no way back. And AFC Liverpool, it was, for 25 minutes, I'm sitting there thinking, we're all right today. We were at it. We were kind of on the front foot. We were moving the ball really, really well. It was only one team that was going to look to kind of go on and win that match, and then Demo gets sent off with a straight red for what, in my opinion, and I watched the video back and it was right in front of our video. We haven't appealed it because I don't think there's any point in doing that. But it's never a red card in a million years. If anything, the lads went to do him and kind of hurt himself. But we go down to 10 men and we kind of consolidate, if you like, in that half-time team talk. I'm like, look, the one thing that we don't do is we don't have to win it in the 46th minute. We just got to be in the game. And we went out second half, James, and for 20 minutes, like with 10 men, we were absolutely unplayable. We said we've got pace in the wings. I want you to start getting at fullbacks, and that's exactly what the likes of Slats and AJ did. Dan was an absolute nuisance, and the good thing, again, going back to Dan, he held the ball up fantastically well, which again, when you're down to 10 men, you need somebody to be able to do that, and I don't think there's anyone better in the league of being able to do that than what he does. But not just that, kind of making sure that he's bringing people into the game and keeping possession for us, and he got the second goal for us, which was superb. They nicked one, I think, about 15 minutes from the end, a real scrappy one on the edge of our box. And then we kind of hung on for about the last 15. The lads showed a different side of the game, if you like, a bit of character in terms of like, that's when it was tin hats and they were having a right go. And they got a man sent off about 2 minutes from the end, and that was it. Kind of job was done. It was like, okay, you know what, just blow the whistle because we're ready to move into the next round. And like Scott said, they were really graceful and they're a good club. And then you draw in my opinion, one of the favourites for the FA Vars this season, and Bishops. They're a good footballing side. They've got quality all over the place. But like Scott says, I don't think they'll enjoy coming to our place on a Saturday in a windy Blyth on a bit of a lesser of a pitch, and that's no disrespect to people who look after our pitch. They're doing a great job, but up at Bishops, it's like a bowling green. It's unbelievable. So we'll see what the day brings. And like I said, it's anything can happen in the Vars. We had a man sent off when we were cruising. That can happen very easily with any team that you play against as well. And all of a sudden, the whole tide of the tide changes. So we'll wait and see. But the one thing that I'm absolutely 100% certain of is we'll not go in there and fear them. And with all due respect, we've built a squad and we've built a team that's a first division squad. So that's where we want to be, and that's where we want to be competing. So it's a real good test for us.
Right. I think it helps with it, like the likes of yourself that's been there and done it, and obviously it's standing in front of these lads telling them about. I know we had, I think it was Bully on, Andrew Bulford on. He kind of said early in his career at Whitley, I think it was, he said, or wherever he was, and Dunstan, sorry, and he kind of said after the first time he played in the Vars, there was grown men crying on the floor, and he was kind of like, we've just lost a game of football. And they're like, no, you don't realise how big the Vars is. This could be my last Vars. And he said as the years went on, he kind of realised how much it actually meant. And obviously he scored and played in many finals, and it just shows you that the North East, it really cares for a lot of people, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what, we when I was at Whitley Bay and at Spenny, we did it properly, James. Like, everyone's like, oh, you were a really good side and you just steamrolled people. Actually, no. Like, I was the guy driving to Lowestoft. I was the guy who was driving to Poole. Like, Poole's like, what, Portsmouth? So I was doing like nearly a 700, 800 mile round trip to go and watch a game of football so we could then prepare properly for the games and stuff like that. So we did it right. And we did it properly, and ultimately on the back of that, it's like we started taking it really, really seriously, because we learned a big lesson the year before when we went to Lowestoft and they battered us 4-0, and we were like man sent off, 4-0 down after 25 minutes. We hadn't watched them. We stayed in a hotel that was miles away from the ground. Like, I'm not just talking 10 mile. I'm talking about like still an hour and a half's journey on the Saturday, and the lads didn't get into the hotel until after o'clock on the Friday night, and having burger and chips and all that sort of stuff. So everything about the preparation was wrong. And we remember sitting down afterwards and we said, because we brought them back in the second leg to Whitley Bay and we're 3-0 up after half time. So we were like, well, we're just needing this one goal, and we couldn't get it. We ended up going out 4-3, and I remember sitting down and saying, like, what went wrong? And I'm like, well, what went wrong is we're trying to cut corners and not doing the preparation properly. So the season after, that's when it really started. That's when it was like, doesn't matter who we're playing, where they are, we're watching them, we're preparing properly, and we did it right. And them 3 years with Whitley, that'll never ever be done again. I don't care what anybody says. It's like you're going to have to be a special team to do it 3 years in a row. The year was Spenny, but every year that I've been involved in it, we've taken something from what we had done previously. We've done no different at Blyth Town. Did we watch Tadcaster? Yeah, absolutely, 100% we did. Did we watch Crook? Yeah, I was up there on a Tuesday night and also a Saturday afternoon, and we went and watched EFC Liverpool when they were at Barnoldswick. So we had somebody there watching them again. So, and then we also had some video footage from Vio and all the rest of it. And we're sitting in the club on a Wednesday night, putting it on the big screen, kind of sitting there, kind of watching them play. So, and these are all of the things that absolutely just make a tiny little difference, and that's the difference between winning 2-1 and, I don't know, getting beat 1-0 or drawing ones each and going out in penalties. So we'll do the same thing with Bishops. I've watched them a few times. I know some of their players, and we'll do it right. But it's honestly, it's like the keys to the chest. Once you get to that kind of FA Vars final, it's ridiculous how good it actually is. And financially, from a chairman's perspective, it's amazing, right?
Yeah. Before we get to a couple of questions as well, we did have a couple of questions that came earlier from Dan, Blyth Spartans fan, actually, Dan Rose. I think he's been in a couple of games, actually. I'm sure they had a hospitality at the start of the season. I'm sure they did. So question coming for yourself, Gareth, from Dan. He says, after being a part of the management team, apart when Robbie Dale left Blyth in 2011, what's it like now working with Robbie this year, and how vital has he been to this season so far?
Yeah, cheers for that, Dan. No, it's Robbie's been absolutely superb. Robbie, I think this season was thinking about hanging his boots up, and I'm absolutely delighted that we're being able to agree something with him or talk him around or whatever it actually is to kind of give at least one, hopefully, fingers crossed, 2 seasons. But he's been different class. He's been great with the young lads. I tell a little story. I think Dylan Short a couple of games ago, Robbie sometimes comes out from the back and he kind of steps out, and he's got this chop on him, which everyone knows that's coming, but nobody knows how to stop it, and every defender always falls for it. And Dylan's at half time was like, I can't believe people fall for that chop, by the way, because it's so predictable. And he was like, well, they fell for it 150 times. I'm sure they'll fall for it another 20, 30 times. I'm like, and he just looks at it and you just think that's absolutely superb. But you know what? He's been an absolute breath of fresh air. His experience has been superb. I worked with him, obviously, at Blyth. There was a decision to move him on at Blyth. It was the wrong decision. By an absolute country mile. He's good to, at that level, at that time in his career, he was 15 points on his own just because he can win your games. And that all kind of saying in terms of hindsight's a wonderful thing. I should have fought harder for him to stay. But ultimately at that point, I was still relatively young in terms of me career, me coaching career, but there's things that you look back over the course of your footballing career, your coaching career, and you think like there's not many things that I look back and go, if I had my time again, would I do something different? But that would definitely be a decision or something that I would do differently if I had my time again, because Rob should have been there, and he probably would have been the difference between kind of being not relegated and being relegated, but learned so much in that Blyth season when we did get relegated, because I had all of my coaching career, James, had been in a very kind of positive, winning FA Varses and winning leagues with Spenny and winning FA Varses with Spenny and stuff like that. It was all positive, and that was the first time as a coach where it wasn't positive. Everything seemed like a struggle and a challenge and all the rest of it. And you know what, you learn so much from them tough times. Maybe you don't appreciate it at the time because you're waking up in the middle of the night thinking, how the hell am I going to get out of this? But in essence, kind of as time goes by, you pull on that experience and you think, you know what, it kind of puts you in a good place for kind of future decisions and future events.
Definitely. And a couple of questions for yourself, Scott, from Dan as well. First of all, what's your long-term vision for the club, and how do you plan to develop the club on and off the field?
Pretty much more of the same what we're doing, to be fair. The infrastructure of the club's already there. You know, there's not many better clubhouses in the next couple of leagues above us, to be honest. It is quite difficult, being obviously having two teams in the town. You know, Spartans have got great tradition, a lot of fans, and when they play at home the same time as us, the gates do suffer. It's more about getting more people through the gate. You know, we mail shot 3,500 homes every month with all our fixtures, what's on at the club. I think once people come to the club and see what we're all about and get the family feel, and you know, the clubhouse is amazing. It's like a sports bar. You know, we've got a huge projector, we've got surround sound. It's great, and it's just do more of the same, and hopefully organically over the next couple of seasons that we'll grow. I think there certainly will be a plateau of how high we could go, just because of just because of money. You know, like you look at Ashton this year. You know, they're struggling because of basically the travel. I think is killing them, and the cost of buses and stuff. Yeah, I would let go up Division 1 and give that a go, but I don't know. I'm very ambitious, as is Gav and Mick. We just got to keep doing what we're doing and build the foundations, and hopefully these things come quicker sooner rather than later. But you know, I think we're in a really good position to grow the club organically.
Yeah,
definitely. And he's just asking as well, how mental will the promotion party be come the end of the season if you win that promotion?
Yeah, we'll be off the scale. Like, I love a party.
I think the vodka bells might come out, Scott, right?
Yeah. No, it's it would be amazing. Let's hopefully we do get the chance to celebrate it. But yeah, if we do, he's definitely invited, because he's a supporter from afar.
Excellent. Brilliant. And a couple of final questions from yourself before we finish. Scott, just for yourself, obviously people that's watching on and obviously watching back as well later on the show. I mean, what would your message be to the people of Blyth or the town or just around the area about who's not been to a match yet, about coming along and support the team?
Well, it's twofold. One, if there's businesses that want to get involved, you know, I've still got a few spaces around the pitch to promote, you know, their companies and stuff. But, you know, it's to get people through the door. I think once people come and appreciate what we got and the atmosphere, to see the clubhouse, they get the feel of it. The clubhouse is lovely. We're playing some really good football. I think the better we do on the field, the better we do off the field, which is kind of chicken and egg, really, I think. But just come down and have a, you know, it's good, honest football with good people, you know, and the bar's fantastic as well. Come and try us out.
Excellent. And just finally for yourself, Gav, just touching obviously Christmas coming up. Do you want to chat about the campaign and obviously collecting the toys again for the kids? I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it'd be nice to spread that word as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to mention it. So every year I'm a trustee for a charity called Fine and Dandy, which is all about mental health and inclusion. And I got asked to get involved with it a good few years back by a guy called Steve White, who also works at the club, and he did some fantastic work on our website and the likes. But about a couple of years ago, we got asked to support the schools in Northumberland, in the Northumberland area, because there was basically 150 kids who are going to be waking up on Christmas Day without a gift. And that for me, like, and that's not everybody automatically thinks, or because their parents are wrong-uns or they're into whatever they're into, or they've got addictions. No, actually, these are like everyday families who parents go out and do a 9 to 5 and they're working the socks off, but because of cost of living and everything else that's been we've been hitting with, their children are going to basically do without on Christmas Day. And I don't think any kid, regardless of where they are and any walk of life, should be waking up and experiencing not having a gift. So last year we did a Christmas present appeal. The year before, 2 years ago, we did a Christmas present appeal, and it was okay. We got probably about 100, about maybe between 50 and 100 gifts. Last year we were at kind of like 250 gifts, and it was absolutely massive. And this year, I think we're going to be going, probably kicking on to that kind of 250, 300. We've already had about £2,000 worth of contributions coming in from businesses and donations. My company, a company called Oak North, that does debt finance and does it's a bank. They've donated like £1,000 already, and then we've been on to Smith's Toy Superstores in Wallsend and Howden, and they're going to give whatever we spend in the store, which we'll spend every penny. They'll kind of put a donation together as well. So I think they give an extra 10-15% on top. So and it's just really about nothing else other than putting some smiles on some faces. And I just think it's like Christmas is a time to be able to do that, and no kid should ever experience of having nothing on Christmas Day. So we don't know who they are. The information gets given by the schools. All that we know is there'll be one family with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and one of them's a boy and 2 of them are girls. So we kind of, if anyone is wanting to contribute, they just got to go to the Fine and Dandy website, and they can find the GoFundMe page on that. Or if they're coming to the club over the course of the next 3-4 weeks, then there's a big kind of bucket in there where you can drop your gifts off. And the only thing that we ask is they've got to be new and they've got to be unwrapped, so we can see who they're actually for when we do wrap them, and we can kind of make sure that the bags are made up correctly. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into it again this year.
Excellent. We got that shared in the group as well. I hope we get a few extra presents from that as well. But no, lads, thank you very much for both coming on the show. It's been nice chatting about the club. Like I say, pushing as much as we can, and hopefully anyone that's watching as well, please get across to all the social media, like, follow, subscribe, anything you can to help the club as much as you can as well. And hopefully back at the end of the season, chatting about hopefully promotion figures, fingers crossed as well.
Fingers crossed. Thanks for having us, James. Appreciate it, mate.
No problem at all. I know we're back on next week as well, Gav. So kind of get enough here at the minute. Chat about the Northern League as well. So looking forward to that one. We're back again tomorrow night, 9:10, Chelsea Street United special as well. It's pretty similar going up chatting about the club. I know Jason just messaged it. I'm sure it came through that they got beat 2-0 tonight in the FA Youth Cup off Burton. So we'll be chatting about that as well. But I know he's really looking forward to the game. Tonight it looks like they're being beat 2-0. But again, everyone that's been watching, thank you so much for your support, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night also.
Cheers, thank you.